the Syrians will be able to go back to their own land, their own home country. We have made our plans, prepared our projects. We will either hold a meeting of international donors or we will create some model projects and take the necessary steps. This is how you protect a land. It's not about complaining about your own country or about your own history or your own nation to outsiders. With such a sick mentality, such a tough struggle cannot be held. We do not even expect them to support our struggle anymore. As long as they don't create an obstacle, that's enough for us now. Our nation is able to see what is being done. They know who any party stands. Just like until today, from now on, we will try and give people the positions that they deserve. They will give the positions to whoever they deserve, our nation. We have a history of thousands of years, and the Republic of Turkey is our current state. Of course, protecting this country and its founder is a duty of all of us. Yes, but as we do that, we do not forget about the history. We do not forget about the Ottoman Empire or the Selçuklu Empire. The seeds of the Ottoman Empire were laid at Söğütlü, and since then, for hundreds of years, it lived in justice and in glory. Our republic was founded on the heritage that we were able to carve out from the Ottoman Empire, but without the root there would be no tree. We were able to raise this tree on that root. We take ownership of this heritage, and it includes our institutions, our traditions. Mustafa Kemal, our founder, was able to step on Samsun. He was able to go from Istanbul to Samsun, and he went there as an Ottoman army officer. And when he was founding the parliament in Ankara, he did so on behalf of the Ottoman Empire. The construction of the republic was based on the administrative system that was taken as heritage from the Ottoman Empire. When such facts are obvious, there is no need to use slandering the Ottoman Empire as a political tool. This could only be a result of ignorance or maybe bad intentions. Our history is our orbit. A heavenly body which goes out of its orbit is doomed to get lost and destroyed in eternal darkness. And the same goes for nations as well. They are trying to break the link of the Turkish nation with its history, and this is their goal. History is a burial ground of nations and states, and there are countless examples of this in history. But thankfully, nobody was able to bring our nation out of its orbit, its historical orbit. There have been weaknesses from time to time, but our nation had a strong will, had a strong conscience, and every time it was able to fix problems. In recent days, some have started reiterating it. They have started claiming that during the Ottoman Empire, the nation had very low literacy rates. They have started claiming that the Ottoman Empire did not have its own defense industry. Or they've been claiming that the Ottoman Empire was oppressing the peoples that it were governing. These are all lies. They are slanders. Just like any nation, any country, or any state, the Ottoman Empire had some shortcomings as well. Of course, identifying them and mentioning them is the job of historians and specialists. But our duty is to emphasize the strengths of our ancestors in order to enlighten our journey for the next generations. In a very broad geography, no matter where you go, anywhere that the Ottoman Empire ruled, you are welcomed with great love. This is because there is a heritage that we need to really own up. For instance, Alija Izetbegovic from Bosnia-Herzegovina. In his final moments, they told me his condition was serious, and we landed in Sarajevo. I was on my way back from Austria, and I went directly to the hospital. According to remarks of Bakir, his son, he was not really conscious until then, but when I called his name, he opened his eyes a bit, and I had a chance to exchange a few words with him. He told me, Tayyip, my son, he said, this is the land of conquerors. These are Ottoman lands. He said, I'm going, and I trust these lands to you. The next day, of course, he passed away. Alija Izetbegovic, with his final remarks, he was also a commander who worked for Bosnia, and that is how he described the land. But what about ours? They do not even know that the Ottoman Empire existed in Bosnia, with all the monuments, all the mosques, all the caravansarais, the bridges, the madrasas. The Ottoman Empire was there. They have left their mark in that land, not by destroying, but rather by building. Or you can see the same in Africa. You can see this all the way in South Africa. Even in South Africa, there are monuments. For instance, the famous Ebu Bekir Effendi was the scholarly representative of this in that faraway land, and this was the Ottoman Empire. But they don't know. They don't know about our heritage. They don't know how far our footsteps reach. As the poet says, we were an important nation, and we taught the world what nationality should be. This is the kind of nation that we are. We are not no ordinary nation. We cannot deny or reject our own history. There are those who are stating remarks about Turkey, but even though their own history is full of injustices or genocides, they're trying to market themselves with stories to the contrary. But we are stating the truth. We're stating facts and transferring them from generation to generation. So I call on our youth. You must be a proud youth, because you have ancestors that you can feel proud of. You are no ordinary youth. Thankfully, we have ancestors that we can be proud of with everything they did. They are a source of pride for us. In all of our 81 provinces, if we are able to see history, see culture, if we see a homeland that is adorned with such monuments, for instance, go visit Erzurum or Mardin. It's full of history. Istanbul, every corner has history. Ankara, even Ankara has Selçuklu history, or if you go to Konya or Kayseri, all of our cities are full of history. We have almost no city which does not have history embedded in its fabric. So how can we not feel proud? No matter what they say, we know who we are. We are ready to tell our children and the whole world who we are.
Şimdi sizlere bu hususta birkaç örnek vermek istiyorum.
I would like to give you a few examples. Late Kemal Karpat
Kimsenin itiraz edemeyeceği tarihçiler
and some other historians in the beginning of the past century studied the literacy rate of the Ottoman population, and they say it was more than half of the population. But at the same time, in places like Russia, Spain, and Italy, comparatively, this was a very high rate.
Balkan Savaşları ile başlayan Birinci Dünya Savaşı
After the Balkan Wars and after the World Wars and the War of Independence, unfortunately, we lost a great bulk of our literate population. Especially an important portion of our male population were martyred. For instance, think of Gallipoli. We have lost a lot of young people during the Çanakkale War. It was not an easy thing. And a portion of our total population were left outside our borders. And with the alphabet revolution, everything was almost reset after the Republic, and naturally we had a time period where the literacy rate was quite low. But blaming this on the Ottoman Empire is wrong. It's a mistake, and our nation again reached 100% literacy rate. It's also a major lie that the Ottoman Empire had no defense or weapons industry. People who claim this do not know about history, or they do not research their history. For the 600 years that it ruled, the Ottoman Empire had almost no week that went by without war. So it's a nonsense claim that the Ottoman Empire did not have a weapons industry. For centuries, this country was able to export cannons or ships to the rest of the world. In all significant wars, for instance, the conquest of Istanbul was thanks to the innovation in weapons industry or its superiority in its weapons industry. Even a primary school level knowledge of history would be enough to know these facts. But the problem was that after the 18th century, the Ottoman Empire was not able to preserve its supremacy. It's not because it did not exist at all, but rather it was not superior in this technology, which required the purchase of better or superior weapons from outside. Despite the problems that it faced, the Ottoman Empire made important leaps in this area, even in its final ages. For instance, factories that were established by Sultan Abdülhamit in Istanbul were left as a heritage to the Republic. This was what we had in the background of the weapons industry that spread to the whole Anatolia. For instance, Nuri Demirağ established a plane factory in Kayseri, or another figure established a weapons factory in Istanbul. If Turkey was able to maintain and continue such initiatives, we would be at a very different level in defense industry these days. But despite everything, with the inspiration that we borrow from our ancestors, we were able to restart. They were turned into ordinary factories, for instance, even though they were weapons factories or plane factories. They were turned into stove factories. They betrayed the heritage, but in the past 17 years, we were able to decrease the foreign dependency of our weapons industry. We almost turned it entirely the other way. When we first came to office in defense industry, we had a $20 billion structure. 20% was locally manufactured, but today 70% of it is locally manufactured. See the progress that we have made from 20% to 70%, and our target is to reach 100%. In the year 2002, Turkey only had 62 defense industry projects, but Turkey today has $60 billion in budget in the 700 projects that it is carrying out. Turkey has become an important global player in its defense projects. For instance, with the Hisar defense missile systems, we have made an important progress, and we are now ready to develop more long-range missiles. The fourth force we have made active recently, and we have started the construction of the fifth. Also, our Anadolu ships is going to be one of the most important of its kind in the world. By 2023, we will be able to produce and fly our own locally produced warplanes, and we will have left behind another milestone. In terms of helicopters for multi-purpose use, we are producing Gökbey'i after the attack series. Also for a heavy attack helicopter, we have started works. We are also skilled in manned and unmanned UAVs. We have proven ourselves. After Bayraktar and Anka, we are now producing Akıncı, which will further increase our superiority. We are having the most challenge in defense industry in engines. We have also we're also making progress on a project which will make it possible for us to produce our own engines. Some have been criticizing us for the agreements on the tank factory, but they have no information about what it means, and they're only trying to create confusion. They are trying to abuse the topic. But if you ask them about sales or about transfers of operation or under what conditions this factory was operating in the past, they are not interested in the answers of such questions. For instance, the Seka paper factory in Kocaeli was always making losses and not producing. And we decided to change the situation and decided to close the factory. We have transferred the workers of the factory to Kocaeli municipality's payroll. The machinery was very old. We wanted to turn it into a museum. And through the Kocaeli municipality, we made the whole area a national park. Now it is serving as a green space for the people, and we are handling paper production in a much better way. Just like the way they abuse Ataturk or abuse the Republic, they have found themselves another lane of abuse in this regard, and with blind eyes they're following that agenda. The tank factory in Sakarya is not sold at all. 50% of the BMC factory is partnered by Qatar and the remaining 50% Turkey. With a new company founded in Karasu, they are enacting their own factory. They will build more factories, and with the completion of this factory, the operation of this factory will be taken back. They need to be frank and honest and try not to deceive our nation. We always focus on the results, but they only focus on their own agendas. If they looked around, they would see the facts. If maybe the reality, the truth is too bright, in that case they cannot look at it. They prefer to bury their heads in the sand, and they think it's dark all around. We are working day and night in every area in order to be worthy of the heritage of the Republic. Hopefully we will bring our nation to its 2023 goals and will take it to the highest league in the world. This is how you can understand Atatürk and how you can commemorate Atatürk, not by mere words. With these emotions and thoughts on the 81st anniversary of his passing, once again I commemorate our founder, and I wish blessings on the souls of the martyrs we have lost in the past 1,000 years. And I would like to thank the organizers for organizing this commemoration event. Thank you.